Helen took a long time to recover from her mother's death. But the woman already had a family of her own and children, so domestic chores eventually drowned out the bitterness of her loss. The situation with her father was different. He became withdrawn, practically stopped eating, unable to cope with the loss. Helen conferred with her husband, and they decided to move her father into their home to look after him together as a family. The father agreed to move in only with the dog, who had been a beloved pet of his late wife. Of course Helen agreed, but soon came to regret it very much. The dog, named Lucky, was big and shaggy. Many years ago, Helen's mother happened to see a little puppy cowering in their garbage bin. He was very small and terribly scrawny. She took pity on him and fed him, and then decided to let him stay. That's why she named him Lucky, because he was really lucky. When Helen and her family used to visit her parents, it was a harmless dog, who patiently endured all the children's games with him. But after the death of his owner, it was like the dog had been replaced. Lucky snapped and growled at the children, chewed on the furniture and shoes, and often howled and barked. The dog would let almost no one near him. But Helen didn't give up, because her beloved mother loved him very much. She called in various dog trainers to teach her how to behave with the dog. But it was all in vain. All the friends of the family shook their heads and said that such a stupid dog is better to put down, in order not to ruin their nerves. But Helen's father said that if Lucky would be gone too, he certainly would not live through it. So Lucky went on living and tormenting the whole family. By the fall, the situation with the dog had become completely unbearable. He was howling all the time, gnawing on his fur, sometimes not eating much. Helen decided to give him a haircut. She toured almost all the dog groomers with Lucky, but they all refused. No one wanted to take on a haircut for a vicious dog. When hope was almost gone, Helen walked into the last place. A petite girl of short stature came out to meet her. Helen wanted to leave right away, but nevertheless told her that she had a dog and that she was ready to pay any money just to get it trimmed. The young woman calmly took the leash from her hands and told to come back in 3 hours. When Helen returned, she could not believe her eyes. The shaggy beast, which let no one near it, sat proudly and motionless, sticking out its tongue. And the young woman calmly trimmed the rest of his hair. And only when the dog looked at Helen, she realized that it was her Lucky. The dog groomer was telling and showing Helen how to brush dogs' ears, how to cut nails. And then she said that the most important thing with dogs, just as with people, is to show love more often. At this point, Helen could not stand it and told the young woman the whole story about Lucky. The dog groomer thought for a minute, and then she made a suggestion that no dog expert had ever thought of. Maybe he just didn't realize his owner was dead. And in his mind, it was Helen who stole him from the house in the absence of his owner. And since it cannot run away, it tries to do everything to get Helen to throw it out of the house. Helen thought for a moment and realized there was some truth in it. She thanked the wonderful woman with a kind heart and went to her parents' old house. She went around the house with the dog, telling him that no one was here and that its owner had died and that it would be staying with Helen from now on. The dog sat quietly as if he was beginning to understand something. Lucky whimpered and turned its head around, trying to find his owner. Then the woman took the dog to the cemetery and showed it her mother's grave. And then Lucky lay down on the ground, lifted his muzzle up and howled very pitifully. Helen sat with him by the grave and waited for him to calm down. When he got up, that's when they went to the car. At home no one recognized Lucky, and when they did, they couldn't believe their eyes. When Helen told her family about the young dog groomer and how she had taught her to understand the dog, her eldest son grabbed his car keys and his jacket. Helen asked where he was going, and he said that he had to meet such a nice young woman. Everyone laughed, and then 6 months later their wedding took place. 7 years passed. Helen had 2 grandchildren. The calm and incredibly intelligent elderly dog helps babysit them. The children brush its teeth in the evenings, and Lucky meekly sits and endures, happy that he has reached a happy old age.